So I wanted to ask you a personal question. Was there ever a time in comics when you thought, okay, maybe it's time to not do comics anymore? Maybe it's not right for me um, to continue in comics anymore? Like, was there ever a moment where,
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how confessional I want to be, but since we're on a couch, um, 2018, like a lot of that year and the months leading into 2018 were, when you stay at a place for a certain amount of time and you see the way things are happening, it just sometimes where you want things to go and where the company needs to go or wants to go doesn't always sync up, and so you just kind of wonder like, well, have I overstayed? Um, should I head off in a different direction? And so it was sort of the first identity crisis I'd had really since being there. And I mean, you sort of have little ones all along the way where you either feel like a pretender or you just, that same thing everybody goes through when you're trying to make stuff. You wonder like, are you doing it the right way? Is it serving everything and is it serving what you want it to be in the right way? But yeah, I think 2018 there was a lot of figuring out like what do I still want to do in comics? Do I just want to make way for other people? Do I still have a thing that I can do? Do I still find a way to contribute in a way that matters to comics, but also still matters to me? And so with that, that's when I stepped aside for a year was just to sort of get a change of scenery. And so Skybound was a very welcoming place to let me try some other things that ultimately I do feel bad that didn't last as long as I think any of us hoped, because the IDW, the presidency, and the publisher and all of that offer was completely just out of the blue and unexpected, and one of those very unique things that there's very few opportunities to. As a friend that I was talking to about this said, he's like, there's very few chances to be in charge, and if you can get in there and do things the way you really want it done, and treat people the way you want everybody treated, then you got to try it. And so
yeah.
yeah, that's kind of a long answer to
No,
yeah.
it's very interesting because I interviewed Joe Quesada about when he took over Marvel,
Yeah.
and I asked him the same questions, and he said um, he talked to his wife, and his wife said they were going bankrupt at the time, and they were just like, hey, listen, we want you to run the company, and his wife asked him, is there anyone who can run the company as well as you? And he thought about it, and he's like, no, like I know what I would do to make it the best possible thing. I'm going to make quality books. I mean, that's what Marvel Knights was all about, and he had that vision, and I think in large part of that is why Marvel is still around and is still successful now, is because he had that vision of saying, okay, we're not going to go down, we're going to make really quality books. And
Joe was my first reach out when I first got offered the job at IDW, because my first job in comics essentially was editor-in-chief of a publisher, and so I didn't have that learning process to sort of grow into that job. It was just, you're the editor-in-chief, and now run the publishing. and so I contacted Joe, and I said, man, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, what do you have any advice for somebody, because at that point he'd been editor-in-chief at Marvel for a number of years. And so I said, do you have anything that might sort of help me figure this out? And his advice was, one, like, don't be afraid to tell people no, and realize you're going to lose some friends over this. And both were really smart pieces of advice, because, at that point IDW was publishing 12 titles a year, a month, sorry.
wow.
So you have to tell an awful lot of people no, because there's just not that space. And then with that, some people will understand that you can't take on everything, and some people will just be like, screw you, man, I thought we were friends. And so you do lose a little bit of that. There's certain people that just don't understand why they haven't sort of benefited from you being in that job. And so
But
it was like, at first I was like, man, that's bitter sounding advice, but he was right on
Real.
both. And again, like, I also think that's a valuable thing to tell people no early on, because hearing no is so much easier than sort of comics' long held, sadly established tradition of not responding to people.
I hate it. I mean,
like if you're pitching and you're just, it's so much better to know that your thing doesn't fit for that publisher.
well, it's even better to know that you can take it somewhere else.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of like nice, because like we've had pitches that are like, oh, this isn't a no, but we might take it. And I'm like, we don't have an answer, and you send like 3 emails, you don't get a follow up, and then all of a sudden, on like the third email, they're like, oh yeah, we're still reviewing it. We're not no, not yes. It's like, all right, well, all right, that's how it goes.
Yeah, and I think so. That's why I think it was smart advice, because I think people don't say no because it's hard and it's
Yeah.
hard to have that conversation. But I think it's such a disservice to the people pitching to not do that. You know, like the fact that they're trying to give this thing and put so much into this thing, I think you owe it to them to at least tell them, no, but good luck. Try it elsewhere. You know, it doesn't mean it wasn't good. It just means it doesn't fit with whatever we're doing right now, or we don't have space for it. But yeah, so I've always tried to respond to everybody on things, just
Yeah.
because I've been on this other side of not being responded to for months on end, and
It sucks.
It sucks.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm the
Yeah.
same way. I try to respond to anyone,
Yeah.
no matter what, and be like, actually, okay, like where was the disconnect? People would pitch me stuff all the time when I had my own publishing company, and
Yeah.
sometimes you can't say yes because it's so expensive to do it, and it's a loss leader.
Well,
you
and
know?
you forget sometimes when you're in the publisher, like time moves way differently when you're inside than when you're a freelancer.
Yeah.
Like every day you don't respond to that freelancer, another day where they're not getting money coming in.
Yep.
Whereas when you're a publisher, you're like, I haven't had a chance to respond in 2 weeks. I've been busy with 1,000 other things. I'll get back to them when I can.
Yeah.
But without understanding, like, that person's going through way worse on that side, because again, they're trying to, like, this is how they make their living.
Yeah.
So it just does them a disservice to not just be forthright about things.
Absolutely.